free-flowing secret to tasty meals. Buy 5 liters of salad vegetable cooking oil today and get 250 grams Zesta tomato sauce for free. Iflo Kama Salad. Salad vegetable cooking oil. Available in all cooking outlets countrywide.
Tajirika na chuma. Whether it's TMT bars, hollow sections, angle lines, or any other steel, we've got you covered. Add chuma points every time you purchase steel at any of our factories. Redeem them at your next purchase. Add 1 point for every 100 shillings spent. Visit tononoka.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Tajirika na chuma. Tajirika na tononoka. Chuma si chuma, chuma ni tononoka.
NTV, turning on your world.
Good morning. Welcome to NTV Tizi Nyumbani. My name is Peter. Another beautiful morning. Leo tunafanya core exercises, okay? Tunaingia tumbo. Going to try the new routine as much as possible. Hope you enjoy it and I hope it challenges you in a good way. To help us get warmed up, let's start with the star jacks here. Eh? So, we start there, we go for 30 reps. Are you okay? Let's go. 1. 10. 20. 30. Good job. You okay? Second exercise with here. You're warming up, eh? Gachanja. Are we good? So let's go. Let's do that. 30 counts. Let's go. 1. That's 10. That's 20. That's 30. Good job. Very good. What's now on, eh? So your hop squats here. Okay? Go for 20. We good? Breathe in, out. Good stuff. Let's go. 20 reps. 1. 10. 20. Good. Breathe. We're going in for our last warm up. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Good. Now look. It's not squat. You remember how we do our groiners, yeah? So this time round. That's how we come mbele na both legs. Mbele and back. In and out. In and out. Okay. We're still going to perform that as part of the exercise today, but for now, we're going to start with it as a warm up for 15 reps. You okay? 15 reps, eh? 1, 5. Alright, let's do this. 1, 15. you can jump, just step. There. So, then you step back. Again, you step, then step back. Very good. 15 reps, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 5 to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo. Good job. I'm sure we are home. So we can start. We can jump right into our first exercise this morning. Breathe in. Up. Breathe in. Up. Breathe in. Up. Good. First exercise this morning, I want you to have an imaginary tire. An imaginary tire, okay? Cool. So this tire, you can ile round. So unaingisha mguu, una curl, then you step on top of the tire, then you curl, in, curl, on top, curl, okay? In, curl the knee, on top, curl the knee. Is that okay? So we're counting in and out. We're counting as 1. So let's start with 12 reps. Is that good enough? 12 reps. Good job. Alright, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can even hold your hip. 9, 10. 2 more. 1, 2. Good job. That's the first exercise. We're repeating it 3 sets. Then we move to the next exercise. So each exercise, 3 sets, 3 sets, 3 sets. Okay? So, second set. Same exercise, 12 reps. Very good. You can hold your head. Let's go. In and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, then 12. Good job. Relax. Relax, take a break. Catch your breath. Catch your breath, catch your breath. We're going back to the same, okay? For the last set. We're still doing 12 reps. We're trying to do small reps because I want us to do a couple of exercises. That's why we're trying to make it minimal reps, at least 12. So, going back to the same, set number 3. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Good job. Our second exercise, still for 3 reps. We're going to do the plank knee-ins, okay? So we're going to go on a plank hold. I don't want us to go on a full plank. I want us to go on an elbow plank hold here. So from this position, just bring in the knee there. Okay, up. Alright, that's our second exercise. We're still doing the same, 12 reps, 3 sets. Are we good? Changamke, right? Let's do this. 12 reps, let's go. Easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 more reps. 1, 2. Ooh, and hold it there. Rest it up. Rest up. Go. How are you feeling? You good? You feel kwa tumbo? Ama bado? Set 1 down. Tuingia set number 2. Sawa. Same. Plank hold. Elbow plank hold. Bring in the knee. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Good job. Back there. Let's go. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 more. 1, 2. Set number 2 done. Going to our set number 3, which is the last set. Then move on to the next exercise. Very good. How are you feeling? Breathe, relax, catch your breath. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Good job. Are we ready? Very good. Let's do this. Last set. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 more. 1, 2. Good job. Our next exercise, we're going in for the leg crossovers. Up. Sawa. Still under the same. 3 sets, 12 reps. Very good. 3 sets, 12 reps. I'm ready when you are. Catch your breath, let's go. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Good job. Be down there. So we're here. You can place your hands here. There. Just there. Just clap. Okay. If you don't want to challenge it, you can still hold your head and you're here. So, are you ready to start? 12 reps. 1, 2. So clapping up, down 1, up, down 2. Let's go. Let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Good one. Relax, catch your breath. Breathe in, out, breathe in, out, breathe in, out. Good one. So we're repeating still the same exercise. Set number 2. Very good. Let's go. 12 reps. Twende kazi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and 2. Good job. Easy, right? Easy stuff. Easy. So going for the last set, 12 reps, then we change the exercise. Okay. The next one is another combination. Hope you are ready for it. Breathe in, out, in, out. Good. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Perfect. Now the next one. We're going to do 3 in 1. Okay. So we're combining the up and down plank, which is the building plank, or build-up plank. We're going to do the shoulder tap. Then we're combining the groiners. That's how. So, for the sake of a good challenge, let's start on a small rep. Then we build it up to 12. So let's start with 8. Then we build in the second set, we go to 10. The third set, we go to 12. Is that fair enough? Because it's not one exercise, it's 3 in 1. That's a fair deal? Good. So this is a combination. So we're starting here. You're going down, you come up, you tap your shoulder, and you step, and you step. That counts as 1. Is that fair now? So we start with 8, we go to 10, then we finish off the third set as 12 reps. Sawa. Perfecto. Let's go, let's do this. That's 1. Tap, tap. That's 2. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Haha. Let's get you maybe with how you doing? You good? Set 1 down. Get back to the same. Set number 2. Relax, catch your breath. Last one. Good. Some lumbar. Alright, let's do this. Let's go back at it. Now 10 reps. It's not easy, but you can do it. Still. Let's go. Move it. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. Let's count. 10. Woo. How are you feeling? It's a good challenge, right? I'm feeling it as well, trust me. From my shoulders, my core. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Last one, breathe in. Out. Good job. You okay? Few more seconds, 20 seconds more. Take a break. Just catch your breath. We try hit this one non-stop. 12. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough. The shoulders are going to be on fire, but we can resist it. So let's do our best, okay? Do our best. Try to resist it for as long as we can, if possible, till our 12th rep. I'm ready. Good. So let's do this. Let's go. One. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Ooh. 8. We're on the 9 count. Let's go. 9. 10. 2 more. 1. Haha. Woo! Let's go. That's 1. Last count. You feel like it? Shoulders on fire, right? Yeah. Breathe, just relax. Catch your breath. Good? Now, our finisher for the day. I want us to do a plank. So, an elbow plank. Okay? Let's do 45 seconds minimum. Is that good enough? Is that okay? 45 seconds. So, 3 sets to tumalize your chapter. Timer starts. Let's go now. You're on time. Let's go. 5 seconds. Just breathe. Ten seconds to go. Three, two, and 1. Last set done. 2 more sets. Are we good? Let's put pressure in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Put pressure. That's how I'm giving you 45 seconds, not 1 minute. Let's go. You can do this. Putting that pressure, you can do this, you can hack it. You have 25 seconds to go. Fifteen seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have 1 more round. Put in the pressure. You can do this. Are you ready? Checking my timer. Checking my timer. You ready? In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. Don't pay attention to the pain. Pay attention to the goal. What's our main goal, eh? 15 seconds to go. Ten seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that brings us to the end of our today's session. I hope you have enjoyed it. It was an awesome core workout. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have. And if you can, repeat the same circuit again every other time when you have time. Okay, it's a good circuit. I hope you make it. Let's stretch. Backwards. Still the ground. The other side. Good. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Last one. Breathe in. Out. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye.
Our dream is, in the event of a closure of a bank, is to close on a Friday and reopen on a Monday.
There are those who are investors in the owned 4.8 billion shillings worth of the bond issued by Chase Bank. And as they look at this liquidation, the question is, what becomes of them?
Come 1st July, risk-based premium is kicking in. And the risk-based premium regime is one of our first line of defense.
Two institutions being liquidated concurrently, one of my key concerns is how this impacts your fund from an exposure standpoint.
Mboga mboga mboga. Mboga mboga mboga. Managu. Mchicha. Sukuma. Mchele.
Mboga.
Mchele. Mchele. Kwani mchele ni ukali?
Hapana.
Mchele ni nini?
Ni mboga.
Mboga mboga mboga. Mchele.
Mboga.
Managu.
Mboga.
To get Mboka, dial *811 *929#. Skiza na Nation.
Where else can a sun rise and buckets fall? Where else can one big man carry a whole city's dream?
Philly's finest.
Where else can one team represent BK to the fullest?
Brooklyn in the house.
And where else can a whole league look to take the throne?
This is NTV.
Greetings and salutations, East Africa, and from wherever else you're joining us from this morning. This is your world on the 17th day of May, and on this day, would like to focus on something that the world is creating awareness of within the month. I'm speaking about Hyperemesis Gravidarum, abbreviated by as HG, which is like the name, is a complex form of morning sickness. It is so severe in some cases that it is associated with maternal, fetal mortality and morbidity. So this morning, we hear from those who have walked in these shoes and from a specialist who will help us understand the science behind it. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and this is your world. As I mentioned, it is the Hyperemesis Gravidarum Awareness Month, and today we learn more about it. Further afield, Israel's shelling of the Gaza Strip continues. Elsewhere, people exchange currencies at crossroads between Arabia and Africa. And on Health Matters, Thursday marked the first full day U.S. children aged 12 to 15 got vaccinated. Thank you once again for joining us on this broadcast. As I mentioned today, our conversation is on a condition called Hyperemesis Gravidarum, and actually this is severe morning sickness. Now, to help us understand this conversation, we're throwing the question back to you and asking you, do you know someone who is living or who has experienced severe morning sickness? Have you experienced severe morning sickness? And what was your experience? Share that to that hashtag new normal. And of course, you can reach us on the numbers at the bottom of your screen. But before we get to that conversation, let's take a look at the numbers in as far as the impact of COVID-19 around the world is concerned. And this morning, we stand at 163,718,298 confirmed cases globally of COVID-19. Out of that number, 143,327,060 have recovered, and unfortunately, 3,393,335 have succumbed to COVID-19. In Kenya, well, this morning that number stands at 165,465 confirmed cases. 113,612 have recovered, and unfortunately, we have lost 3,003 Kenyans to COVID-19. So yes, the positivity rate is going down, but that does not mean we are out of the woods yet, and that is why it is still important for you to keep washing your hands regularly with soap and water, wear your mask, and of course, physically distance. A look at some of the stories making headlines this morning, and we start off in South Africa, where cars queue up outside the Netcare Mill Park Hospital in Johannesburg, and healthcare workers are queuing up to get their COVID-19 vaccines ahead of a government's phase 2 rollout set to start today, which will focus on citizens over the age of 60. Many healthcare and frontline workers are still hoping to get the vaccine before this phase begins.
It's chaos. The traffic is a nightmare getting in here. I heard this morning that the staff also had difficulties getting in. As you can see, the traffic behind you, it's been like this since yesterday. Queues everywhere of everyone parking outside, inside, just trying to get in and trying to get on the Susceptible trial and trying to get their vaccinations.
I just hope there'll be enough for everybody that actually does want to get vaccinated, you know. I think that's my only concern. Also taking into consideration what happened yesterday, you know, people had vouchers, people had appointments confirmed, but you get to the front and you've been waiting the whole day, and then you don't get vaccinated. So let's hope it gets better.
I think because of the rollout number of people that are like the healthcare workers, we need to fast track them so that they could be able to start with those who are having comorbidities, like the 60-year-olds and those who are frail and those who are elderly. Because the time frame that was put by the government, I think it's already almost to elapse for the healthcare workers.
I think in future they must just go on the site and vaccinate people. It will be much better, and then it will prevent the queues, the traffic and so forth, and the delays and everything.
The Seychelles is causing concern for World Health experts after a rise of COVID-19 cases among fully vaccinated individuals. According to the country's health officials, however, 2/3 of positive cases are among people not yet fully vaccinated.
So far, what we're seeing is that most people who are testing positive, in fact, over 2/3, have not been vaccinated fully. Some have never been vaccinated, the majority, and a few have not had their second dose. We are, however, registering some positive cases. About a third of positive cases are among people who have been vaccinated with the 2 doses. But this group of people tend not to have any symptoms. They were tested because they were contacts, or they have mild symptoms. So far, of all the active cases that we have, almost all are Seychellois, 85%. We do have, however, 15% of people who are active cases, who are foreigners. They are either GOP holders or visitors.
And still on COVID matters, this is the best way to go about things. This is how you go back to normal, says 13-year-old Charles Muro after getting a COVID-19 vaccination at the Connecticut Convention Center in Hartford. Across the United States, Thursday marked the first full day children 12 to 15 could get the vaccine.
This is such a big step closer to herd immunity that it's almost inevitable that this end is going to come close. Just got the shot a few minutes ago that this is the best way to go about things. This will be the future.
Personally, I'm always very scared of getting vaccines. I'm not the bravest person in the world, but I was really excited to get the COVID vaccine because this is the first step towards going back to a normal society and normal life. I'm really excited to go back to school full time and to be able to play in band again normally.
My daughter's having surgery this summer, and we're nervous about that already. And my hope was, I was actually praying that she would be able to be vaccinated before the surgery. It's a big surgery, and I didn't want to have to worry about her getting COVID because her immune system will be compromised. And I thought, I really hope that they'll be able to vaccinate her age group prior. So literally the first day that we can get it, there's a reason why we're here. We're getting there. We're getting closer to normal every day.
Away from health matters and in Djibouti, refugees and soldiers or Ethiopian truck drivers meet at a 1,000-year-old crossroads between Arabia and Africa. Flows of people carrying different currencies to exchange their forex. They all turn to the women money changers who ply their trade on the capital street corners.
They sit on every street corner in Djibouti, their bags filled with cash. These women are money changers who drive the economy. They carry all types of currency, Djiboutian francs, Ethiopian birr, euros and dollars. Noura Hassan started this work 10 years ago from savings when her husband died.
We are aware of the exchange rates because our bank gives us this sheet. It's free. It's through this sheet that we know the exchange rates.
Dozens of women work in money changing in the city. It's a simple job, making it accessible for women with little schooling. Only 43% of women have formal education in the country in the Horn of Africa.
It's a decent job. It's better than being jobless. You work to earn a living for your children. When you sit here, you have cash flow. You don't need to beg from anyone working on your own.
On this day, Medina has around 1 million Djiboutian franc, the equivalent of $5,600 in her purse. A substantial sum, and yet her colleague Zara plays down the risk.
If someone steals money, they don't come to us. They're scared. There are a lot of us, aren't there? They won't come. If I was alone, they would come.
The women work in groups and help each other, which contributes to their success. In the working-class district of PK12, there are money changers too. The area is popular with people from neighbouring Ethiopia, and its currency, the birr, is common. Every day, tuk-tuk drivers, sellers of the leafy drug cat, and traders all need to exchange money. The nearest bank is far away, so the money changers are the fastest solution.
In 90% of cases, it is better to change with them than at the bank. They're earning a livelihood for their families and helping us to exchange money.
2/3 of Djibouti's economy runs on the informal sector. In the country of under 1 million people, women are the ones who keep the money rolling.
Now, Israel's bombardment of the Gaza Strip entered its 7th consecutive day with air raids earlier today, killing at least 33 Palestinians. That is earlier yesterday, wounding dozens more and flattening at least 2 residential buildings. While the hostilities continued in the Middle East region, the United Nations Security Council met in a bid to find fast solutions to the crisis that threatens to spiral out of control. Leila Mohammed with that report.
Just before dawn Sunday, the skies over Gaza lit up once more. This time, the rocket fire came down hard over a large area that Palestinian authorities say is majorly inhabited by civilians.
Israel uses its missiles to protect its children. Hamas uses children to protect its missiles.
Is violence, when committed by Palestinians, terrorism, and when committed by Israel, self-defense?
The health ministry in the blockaded coastal enclave said a total of 181 Palestinians, including 52 children, have perished in the strikes. Israel has, over the past few days, insisted that their major target is the Hamas group, whose chief Yahya el-Sinwar's home was also targeted in air assault. In the meantime, the United Nations Security Council met on Sunday to discuss the worst outbreak of violence in years in Palestine and Israel.
The United States has made clear that we are prepared to lend our support and good offices should the parties seek a ceasefire. Because we believe Israelis and Palestinians equally have a right to live in safety and security.
Pope Francis, on his part, said on Sunday that the loss of innocent lives in violence between Israel and Palestinians was terrible and unacceptable, and that peace cannot be built by destroying each other.
Well, let's focus on our conversation of the day. As I mentioned, Hyperemesis Gravidarum. It is abbreviated as HG, and perhaps most of you know it as severe morning sickness. And you might be wondering, okay, why talk about morning sickness? It's part and parcel of pregnancy. Well, this one is, as I said, going by the name, a bit complex, actually more complex, as you'll hear from our panelists this morning. Now, before we get to it, let us shed some light on what exactly we're talking about. If we can have these graphics on the screen. Now, this is an extreme form of morning sickness that causes severe nausea and vomiting during pregnancy. This condition actually the extreme nausea and vomiting does not go away throughout the pregnancy. Now, that is the difference, as you can see, between HG and your usual morning sickness. The symptoms can cause severe dehydration and poor weight gain during pregnancy. And unfortunately, there is no known way to prevent morning sickness or HG, but there are ways to manage the symptoms. So let's understand this condition much better. Now, unfortunately, we were to have Dr. Charles Miner, who is a gynecologist who understands this subject quite well, but he got an emergency and had to go to the emergency room this morning. So we hope he will join us later on in the broadcast. But to give us, lived experience point of view, we have 2 couples joining us this morning. We have Washeke and George Miner, who are joining us in studio, and we also have Elizabeth and Jason Franklin, who are joining us from the comfort of their home in Rongai. Thank you all for making time for this conversation. And I have to say, a lot of us will be learning about this, and perhaps some of us hearing this for the first time. And Washeke, let me start with you, considering you're the one who went through it physically. Yeah. What exactly, or when exactly, did you know something was a little bit different about your pregnancy?
Okay, thank you, Gladys. I was 5 weeks into my pregnancy when I experienced now the HG. I didn't know it was HG until I vomited 20 times in less than 1 hour. It was, once it starts, it doesn't stop. So that's when I knew something was wrong with me, and I went to see the doctor. And I was lucky because the doctor that I went to see was able to diagnose me with HG immediately, and I started now the management of HE. It wasn't easy to say. It was so traumatizing, and I didn't know how the rest of my pregnancy would turn out to be.
Okay, so at this point somebody is listening and thinking, but hiyo ni kawaida na pregnancy. Was this kawaida?
No, it wasn't. Because I had my sister and other friends who had gone through pregnancy before. I know what they had gone through, and now comparing to what I was going through and the symptoms, no, it wasn't. It wasn't close to morning sickness. It was a full sickness. You know, you're sick from morning to evening, every day, every week, every month. So you can't compare it to morning sickness, and nothing works. You know, the remedies you are told, you take lemon, take some crackers, none of those works. In fact, if you do lemons, those bitter, some of the things you're told to take, it is worsen. It will worsen, because when you're vomiting, now imagine you're vomiting those bitter things. It's very difficult. So you can't compare to morning sickness, and it is terrible. It's very terrible. I do not wish anyone to go through it.
Okay, so when we talk about morning sickness and you were getting sicker than usual, what exactly were you experiencing?
Okay, I could not eat, that is one, because anything that goes in has to come out immediately. I would not take water. Even water was a problem. You would feel less thirsty, but you don't want to take water. You still vomit all of it. And then you see now you're not taking water, you become too dehydrated. And then when you're dehydrated, you're weak. Your system is very weak. You lose so much because of vomiting. You become so thin. For me, I was malnutrition. I lost a lot of weight. I lost 20 kgs actually at that period throughout my pregnancy. And I can say from the beginning to the end, you cannot eat anything. It is very hard to keep anything. Even the energy to eat you don't have. I remember even lifting a spoon was a problem for me.
Wow.
It was, yeah. And no one understands you. That's something else, you know. No one will understand you. Yourself, you don't even understand yourself, because you don't know what it is.
Okay, so this was your first pregnancy?
Oh yeah, it was my first pregnancy.
And you felt that way, at least the symptoms you've described, for the full 9 months?
Yeah, it went for 9 months. It didn't stop. I hoped it would stop at 16, 20 weeks, but it didn't stop.
Okay, so you're talking about people not understanding what you're going through, and I am wondering, your husband is seeing you go through this first experience with your first child, and George, what's going through your mind as you see your wife going through such turmoil?
Okay, thank you, Gladys, for hosting us. I would say it was a very strange time for me. And compared to other pregnancies that I've seen, maybe through you know, other family members as well as friends. So, and what I've known before is that that there's a morning sickness which is supposed to last for 3 months, but for my wife it was different because it was consistent, and it was not consistent just for maybe like a particular time. It was throughout maybe the day, and. I think for some few instances, we had to go to the hospital, and then she got admitted a couple of times, I think 3 times, and even insurance cover was exhausted by the admission. So it was a totally different and a strange thing to me. And again, I was not able to understand because I was asking myself, how comes hers is different and what's going on? And the fact is that she could not be able even to, you know, to keep something, whatever she eats, you know, comes out. And then again, her energy levels were so low. So it was a totally, a very unfamiliar ground for me. But through, asking a couple of family members, asking for help, I was able now to, to understand and also to look at the bigger picture, because we are going to have a child, and I saw the child would be a blessing. And also I was praying even for the mom to be with us along the journey. So I had also to, be part of her, support her emotionally, and also even physically.
Okay, we celebrate you, George. At least you hang in there and went a long way in understanding exactly what she was doing or going through. Now, let's hear it from Elizabeth and Jason Franklin. Elizabeth, was your experience similar to that of Washeke?
Hi, Gladys.
Hello.
Well, for me, it's quite similar in that
mine started at week 5 as well. And with my first pregnancy, I have 2 children, and I had HG with both. So for me, with both children, it started at 5 weeks. But with the first child, I think not knowing what to expect made it a bit difficult to even understand what it is that was going on. But I started vomiting immediately at 5 weeks. In fact, that vomiting is what told us that we could be expectant. So began at 5 weeks, and throughout the whole pregnancy, I would vomit. Maybe in the first trimester it was really bad, but it sort of eased off. And in the second and third trimester, I would vomit quite a bit, but then I'd be able to keep food down. I realized that with HG there are some levels of severity. But now, when it came to the second pregnancy, just like clockwork, it started at 5 weeks. But then this time around, it was now much worse. I was not able to keep food down into the second trimester. I was vomiting every single thing. I was with HG, when you have vomited water and you have vomited all the food, then the next thing is bile. And often, sometimes, you might vomit blood. And for me, I got to that place of vomiting blood. And yeah, that's how it was for me.
Oh, wow. That sounds extreme. And you went through it twice. Wow. Okay,
Twice.
Now, I saw your husband, kind of smiling when you said, even with the second pregnancy, it was like clockwork. 5 weeks, we started again. And I'm wondering, Jason, the first time,
Yes.
it was hard, difficult for your wife, but you still tried the second time.
Yes.
So what is going through your mind at this point?
Hi, Gladys, to begin with.
Hello.
Hi, to begin with, I would say the options when you know that the first time it's possible, and we knew that with the second pregnancy, there was a possibility of it not being there. So we tried for a second child, but as Liza said, like clockwork, it hit. And at least now we knew what to expect. So we were kind of prepared mentally. We were not prepared for what was coming up physically. That was a totally different ballgame. With the first one, we were both taken aback. But with the second one, our minds were ready, but we were not ready for what we were going to experience next. It was a bit crazy because it took a toll on us.
Okay, now, let me take you back to the first pregnancy. Explain taking a toll on you, and also give us more about your experience looking in.
I think the first pregnancy was it was a shocker because we were married then for 4 years, and the first thing was I now realized I'm in charge of someone's life, someone's health. I took my wife for a normal pregnancy check at hospital, and the doctor had one look at her and says, "Your wife is not going back home with you." I was so taken aback. I was shocked because now I'm like, why am I leaving my wife in hospital? We just came for a normal checkup to confirm that we are pregnant, and now you're telling me she has to be admitted? I think emotionally I was not ready for that the first time, and having to be at that place where I'm leaving my own wife at home. I've had this with other people, with other sicknesses and diseases, but happening because of pregnancy, and I have to leave her there, did not quite add up. The second time around, at least I was ready, and I knew she may have to stay in hospital, but it also came with other complications that now also affected how we looked at the pregnancy as opposed to what happened in the first pregnancy. So the complications varied, and it's the kind of thing, it's like a football match. You don't know how the match is going to turn out. You don't know how the match is going to turn out, and you have to be ready for whatever the other team is going to bring on board. So you have to be ready on the pitch, and this was us on the pitch with HG.
Oh, wow, that is quite intense, and we'll hear more about your experience. And I mean, being a mother, having gone through pregnancy and hearing your stories, I celebrate you guys. And for you, Elizabeth, doing this twice, oh, wow, kudos to you. And we appreciate you being here to actually create awareness about HG. And speaking about multiple children and somebody who's gone through this multiple times, if you remember, throughout each of her 3 pregnancies, the Duchess of Cambridge, that is Kate Middleton, suffered Hyperemesis Gravidarum, a pregnancy complication, as we've said, causing severe nausea, vomiting, and often weight loss and dehydration while carrying all of her 3 children. Now, every time she was pregnant, we knew because she had to be admitted in hospital, and she went through this throughout her 3 pregnancies. Talking about a strong woman, right, there is a woman we need to celebrate. But then again, let's get back to understanding this conversation. Again, we need to be very clear. It is very different from morning sickness. Some of us who've gone through this, there's a bit of nausea, there's a bit of, you know, things you like, you do not like. But this one, as described from those who've worn these shoes, they say it is on a whole new level. Let's get back to Washeke. What is the worst it ever got for you?
Well, the worst is that I could not do the things I used to do for myself. That is one. Now you become totally dependent on someone. And then again, you have to you're treated differently. Like, I could not go to work. That is one thing. Like, most of the time I was in hospital. I remember from May, that is the end of the last week of May, that is 2018, all the way to October, I didn't go to work. Most of the time I was in and out of hospitals, so it affected also my job, my work life, and also my physically I lost a lot of weight, and it was not looking good for me, and I had fear of my baby because of medication. I used to take a lot of medication throughout the pregnancy to manage now the HG. I had fear maybe they could do something to the baby, but I thank God the baby turned out to be well and normal, and he's growing well. And also mentally, I was not in a good place. You know, you are lonely, you're walking in a journey that you don't even understand. Most of your friends don't even understand. And you find you are alone. I didn't know anyone who had gone through it that I could talk to. So it was really, I was lonely, I was in a corner. As much as I had my husband, he supported me so much. But I felt like I was still alone in a way, in a nutshell. I mean, in my own Cancun, since no one could understand me.
Okay, I hear you, and I remember you telling me when we were having this conversation earlier that at some point it was so bad you remember passing out in the bathroom. So George, your wife has passed out. At this point, what is going on in the house, and how did you deal with that situation?
Yeah. So Gladys, I told you this was a very unfamiliar, territory for me in the first place, because before even we got pregnant, we used to joke about what her cravings would be. Was she likes a lot of fries or chips, and I knew beforehand that I have to make sure that every day I pass by, I buy some fries or I buy some chips. And then we get to the point that, she's pregnant, then the whole story is different. She has no cravings for anything. She's just there. She can even, take even cakes or even queen cakes. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was quite draining as well, especially, let's say, even mentally, because these are your friends. Most of the time, you're in high spirits, you joke around, and then she's totally now a whole lot different. So there are particular instances, like now when she passed out on the washroom, And I think the first reaction was now, okay, I don't need to be shocked. The first reaction is how do we contain the situation? And so the best thing I could have thought of is now just taking her to the hospital. And even as Jason has said, when I took her to the hospital, the first thing that you're told maybe by the consultants or by the doctors that you're not going back home with her. She has, they have to, to look after her for a particular period of time, maybe 2 days or 3 days, just to observe her, to see if she'll be able to pick it up. So for me, I would say it was just a very deep dive to a new territory. But again, through the grace of God, we're able now to to gather the strength and also now be with her and be there for her.
Okay, Elizabeth, let's talk more about the disruptions it brought into your life. So the first time round, you're dealing with something you do not understand. And as we heard from Washeke, there's some things she had to either slow down on or even do away totally. What was your experience? What did you have to readjust?
Everything. Everything. Like I said, it differed in severity. So for the first one, it was a bit bad, but I was able to handle things and sort of like get my strength back pretty quickly. However, with the second pregnancy, like I said, it was much worse. And now this time around, I have a small child now to take care of, and I can take care of myself. I can't take care of my house. I don't know if people have eaten, if they haven't eaten, if the house is clean, if the house is dirty. I don't know if my husband is well taken care of. I can't take care of myself. I could hardly even shower. Like that strength after showering, that was it. I couldn't do anything else. And so it was very, very difficult. I needed a very strong support system, and I'm glad I had that in my husband. Well, the second pregnancy just brought a whole other ball game. And I think the worst part for me was, apart from just not being able to do the day-to-day things that are required of me, was also having to explain every time I went to hospital, telling the nurses and the doctor that this is what I'm going through and this is what is happening, and get dismissed. Like, no, that's just morning sickness. Go eat ginger biscuits. Go do this, do that. And I have tried all of that, and it's not working. So I think that for me was a great dip, because then I had to research for myself, and then I would tell the doctor how to help me, what drugs, if any, that are found on Google to give me. I think for me that was what was pretty crazy, and not being able to take care of my own home, let alone myself. Myself, let alone, okay, the other way. Yeah, so it was...
Okay, and talking about misdiagnosis, I think, Washeke, you also mentioned the fact that when you had this happen the first time, you went to the doctor and you were also told, usijali, this is kawaida with pregnancy. Washeke?
Yeah. When I want to see the doctor,
yes.
One of the doctor told me this is normal. So you're still early in your pregnancy and this is normal. Just take those crackers, try those lemons, you'll be fine. This is normal, it's expected, you'll be fine. But I remember at that time I was falling off. Even I was lying on his counter as he was prescribing and telling me all this. And I would tell him, no, I don't feel okay. I didn't have even strength. That's what I went home. I remember I just went home, even after giving the normal nausea medication that you usually prescribe.
Yes.
But it didn't work. That one cannot even work. It didn't work for me. So I went the next day. It was now worse. now I went to see now my doctor, the one that I worked with throughout the whole pregnancy, and that's where I got help. I really got good help because immediately I didn't even go home. I was admitted immediately and I started treatment. I was in hospital for 3 days on IV, and I got my energy boosted and was able to go throughout that at least another week.
Okay, let's hear then from Jason. So she's gone to the hospital. She's been told that this is normal, and clearly you can see it is not normal. So how did you deal with this? And did you go looking perhaps to relatives to give you pointers as to how to deal with this new normal for you, so to speak?
Well, first of all, telling your relatives that your wife has been admitted because she's pregnant is already off. As a pregnant woman, she should be up and about, gaining weight, eating well, so that her baby, the fetus can grow and develop well. But now you're in a position where you're suddenly admitted. Your income is not stable at that point, and you have to ask for help in such a way that people will understand you're not conning them, because it doesn't make sense for someone to be admitted because of pregnancy. And I'm grateful that God gave us an awesome family in our relatives, that despite not quite understanding what was going on, they helped. They chipped in the money, they made phone calls, they prayed, and whoever could came and visited. Because HG is really expensive, you know, and it still didn't make sense why we had to be admitted. And I remember the first time Liz was admitted in hospital, that first night she went through 4 IV bottles. She drained 4 IV bottles in one night, and it just painted the severity of how dehydrated she was. Because as a pregnant woman, she should be taking in more water. The fetus is and the amniotic sac, all of this need water, but she had none of that. And it was really a shocker that she was released 24 hours later. But the tricky bit was that she was released and then given 3 tablets of promethazine, and we were to take the 3 tablets in over 3 days. Those tablets did not help. And apparently promethazine, it's the B1 supplement in part, and it should have helped her, but that did not even calm the storm. The storm got worse. We came home, at least now we knew she has to take in more water, but it wasn't working. Whatever little water she drank, she threw up 10 times more. It was crazy, and had to handle that first time.
That is intense, whichever way you look at it, and even hearing it from a guy's point of view, considering he's the one looking in and does not understand the physical, the physical experience of the pregnancy must have been very difficult. And that's why I'd like to understand from George. So your wife is being told this is normal. Daktari himself does not understand this. And you must be also wondering, okay, fine, I've had and seen many pregnancies, but this one is out of control. So what did you do at this point to help you at least manage it? Okay, I guess mafans wamekuona ni sawa. Waambie utaongelesha baadaye. Yes?
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you again, Gladys. Yeah, so as I said earlier, this was totally a new, whole different thing for me. And again, having seen, let's say, my sisters or maybe other relatives going through pregnancy and now going through that journey or experiencing those challenges. So for me, I had to, rethink back, just try to understand my wife, try to understand what's this condition, how does it happen? I have to admit, like the first few days, I could not be able to get it, and then through speaking to her, through researching together, we're able to pick it up, and I was able to pick it up, and I was able now to see that this is not just a normal pregnancy. This is a pregnancy that needed more attention, and this was like an accommodation. So the first thing I started to do is just to make sure that when she's going for the checkups, I go with her just to be able to understand. Because even through, she could not be able now to explain to me very well. So because again, because that thing, number one, she needs to get me to a level that I need to understand. And the best way to get me to a level that I need to understand, then I have to go to her, with her to the doctor, so that the doctor can be able to explain to me, and also to explain to me how do I go about her, how do I treat her emotionally, how do I cater for her, maybe even physically.
And what were the relatives saying at this point? Because I'm sure you must have talked to somebody in your family to understand what's going on.
So luckily, we have very caring, let's say, relatives, and the good thing, my mother-in-law, I think she had experienced that, but not in that lengthy way like my wife's. So she knew, and she was able to to guide me, and she was able to guide us. And again, through her own experience, and also now talking to other relatives about it, I think they were able to understand, and also now share their thoughts. But I have to admit, not all of them could be able to comprehend what was going on, but I think most of them were able now to to understand, to be there for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we'll get more into the stories and definitely understand better how we were able to manage this and come out, the warriors and victors you are today. And remember, our question of the day is, have you experienced severe morning sickness or know somebody who has? Now, this is not your usual morning sickness. This is something else, and we call it Hyperemesis Gravidarum. And you've had from others talking about the experience. Eva Olo says, mine was crazy. It was so bad that my sister had to take me to an optician. Some of the veins in my eyes popped and my eyes appeared bloodshot. Wow, Eva, thank you for sharing. Rosemary Phillips says, yes, I have been sleeping the whole day. Okay, apart from the sleeping, what else are you going through? Kathomi Mutambe says, mine was all day and night sickness. Okay, Kathomi, thank you for sharing this. Please keep them coming through. That is the hashtag new normal. And thankfully, we've been able to get a doctor last minute here, Dr. Alfred Mukomba, who is a gynecologist. Asante sana for joining us. Dr. Alfred, perhaps now you can explain the science to us about this HG condition. First of all, let's understand the difference between morning sickness and HG.
Yeah, thank you. Apologies to my colleague, I can imagine. This is morning sickness, and when it gets more severe, hyperemesis gravidarum. This is a condition that occurs especially in early pregnancy, more pronounced between most people between 6 weeks and around 10 weeks of pregnancy. And this is a condition that occurs because of the hormonal changes that do occur during early pregnancy. There's a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, and also the estrogen hormone levels are very high. So this stimulates the brain so that the lady now is not get those episodes of early morning sickness, and when it's severe, some people cannot retain even small feeds. So for the mild ones, these are the ladies now get a bit of vomiting in the morning when they wake up or when they brush. Some it might extend throughout the day whenever they eat any food with spices or with a lot of oil. Then it stimulates vomiting and they are hardly able to retain any feed. So the severe form is when the lady cannot retain anything at all. Just text or even the smell of any food makes her vomit. and it can go to severe levels where the lady now is forced to be admitted for intravenous fluids and some medication.
Okay, Dr.
Yes.
Let me stop
Yes.
you at that point and perhaps tell us, you said it has something to do with a hormonal imbalance. Is it possible to perhaps prevent it before you get pregnant so that you're able to balance out your hormones?
It's not a hormonal imbalance. It's actually the hormones that increase as a result of the pregnancy. During pregnancy, as the baby grows and the placenta develops, then the placenta produces some hormones in very high amounts. So in terms of prevention, what we advise is for the ladies to take small but frequent feeds. No eat kidogo kidogo, lakini mara nyingi. Avoid food with spices. Avoid very oily foods. And then lastly, the lady should be able to select the foods that don't give her that feeling of nausea and vomiting as much. And avoid those ones that nauseate them or make them vomit a lot, because the priority at this point is for somebody at least to be able to take and retain something.
Okay, so Dr. who is at
yes.
risk of dealing with HG in this case then?
Yes.
So who is at risk of dealing with HG? Are we going to just give it a blanket statement? It's all women of childbearing age?
Mostly it gets more severe in those with the first pregnancy. So the first timers tend to get more severe forms, tends to reduce as as one gets the second pregnancy or maybe third pregnancy. What is important is if this condition worsens in the course of the pregnancy, then there are medications that we do give to minimize or even stop the vomiting altogether, so the lady is able at least to eat something. So the normal one, is the mild one, the morning vomiting, and then it stops, somebody is able to eat and can carry on their duties. But when it is a bit excessive, where one cannot retain enough food, then we advise then somebody should see their doctor or visit a health center or a clinic where they can be given medication to prevent this severe vomiting or even stop it altogether. There are safe medications that are available. Yeah.
Okay, now you mentioned that most often than not, it's those with their first pregnancies, but we have a couple here who've had 2 children and they have gone through this condition or the symptoms twice over, and it was even worse with the second pregnancy. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's not exclusive to first-timers. Those who have had this condition are likely to have it in the subsequent pregnancies. So this is the kind of lady we would advise to talk to their doctor so they start medications to minimize this condition even before it starts. Yeah, because if it gets that severe level, then we are justified to give the preventive medications for the same.
Okay, at least now we understand a little bit of the science. And Dr. we thank you for joining us, and we pray that you can stay with us because there are other aspects we'd like you to clarify on. Let me get back to Elizabeth. So you said the first pregnancy a little bit manageable, second pregnancy out of control. The severity, what was out of order now for you with the second one?
First of all, the fact that there was another child to take care of.
Yes.
That was an added responsibility that I couldn't take care of. And then it was now more severe in intensity, because the first time was, well, not as severe. So I was able to sort of go through it. But then now my strength with the second one had waned more. I had In fact, by the time I was able to even go for my first clinic visit, I was well into my second trimester, nearly in the 6th month. And this time around, the vomiting had increased, and when I vomited the water and I was dehydrated, and I vomited out all the food, it's gone, and the bile, I passed through that, and then the blood, I think that was quite severe for me. That was quite severe. And now having to also find medication, because when it comes to medication that helps you go through HG, it's extra expensive medication, and it's not that easy to find. Yeah, that was quite severe for me.
Mm-hmm. And when you went to the doctors this time around, what did they tell you? Did they take up the same management? Did they have to change up the medication? What happened?
I had to change hospitals actually, because the first time when we went to the hospital, it was sort of manageable at then, like I have said with the first one. But with the second one, I now had to go to a more specialized hospital that could help me with a better diagnosis and better medication. And yeah, sorry.
Okay, all right. No worries. I was asking, did they change up the medication, the management of the same now when you went to the second hospital? Perhaps Jason can help you out with this?
Yes.
Yes, when we switched hospitals, we actually moved from a local hospital because the diagnosis we were given was now not just about HG, it was now complicated, it was affecting the fetus as well. So we simply first switched hospitals because we wanted a second opinion. Mm-hmm. And this second opinion was more favorable, because the first opinion required us to terminate the pregnancy, but that was not our choice at that point. We knew that HG pregnancies so far are crazy, but we still wanted to keep this pregnancy. So we went for this second opinion, and they listened to our story and took time to look at us and gave us some different medication, mm-hmm. which kind of quelled the situation, but we still had to go back to purchasing medication for ourselves other than what was prescribed from hospital, something that had worked for us towards the end of the first pregnancy. It proved to help with the second one as well. So mm-hmm. we still had to chip into our own pockets, which was, as Liz has alluded, it was quite expensive, and it is what helped us throughout the entire pregnancy.
Okay. Now, just hearing the fact that termination of a pregnancy was actually on the table with the first one tells you how much even the medical fraternity doesn't understand this condition. And at some point, Washeke had also alluded to the fact that the stigma that came with dealing with this was too much. When we come back from the break, I'd like to hear a bit of what it is that you heard about what you need to do or what needs not to be done. We'll be right back.
there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex.
Protex. Good health starts here.
These flags are representing the people that live in Philadelphia. That's what I'm doing.
To make it in America, you need to be focused, steady, you need to be consistent, you need to work.
My Swahili is still pretty hopeless. Jambo Bwana, Missouri Sana.
You can take an African out of Africa, but you can't take out the African in them.
The experience in Kenya has been a great one. It's been positive. The weather is great. It's like our home city in Nigeria, which is Jos.
I watch Daring Abroad. Congratulations for what you do.
Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja. This morning, we are being schooled, literally, about a condition called Hyperemesis Gravidarum. It is abbreviated as HG, and it is a severe form of morning sickness. Wacha hii ya kawaida. Those who've gone through pregnancy and thought they had it rough, yeah, listen in on this one and you will appreciate your journey to start with. But helping us along with this conversation on phone is Dr. Alfred Mokomba, who is an obstetrician and gynecologist. We also have two couples, Washeke and George Minor, who have lived experience with HG in studio, and another couple joining us from Rungai, who are Elizabeth and Jason Franklin. Thank you all for being so candid about your journey. And when we went to break, I mentioned the fact that stigma is part and parcel of this one, because again, you're going through something that most people don't understand, yet pregnancy is a common thing. Washeke, what are some of the things you heard?
Okay, I remember the time I was expectant. I had also other friends who were expectant that we used to work with, but people would compare. I remember someone asked me if we need to find out if my husband is my brother, because what I'm experiencing, they have never seen it, they don't know. So I need to find out if he's my brother. We just need to sit as a family and just find out what is, because it was crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay, what else did you hear?
I also had someone say, like, maybe I'm not eating the right foods. You know, I should avoid those oily food and focus on eating maybe dry foods. They will help me, you know. But none of that would work. So, well, the difficult part of which is being understood. People will not understand, especially if people have never come across someone who has gone through it. It's very difficult for people to get to understand what you're going through.
Okay, now your own mother, had she ever gone through this, or was this the first time she was experiencing it through you?
She told me she experienced with our firstborn. She had it. That time, you know, those many years, they didn't know what it was. So she also kept going to hospital for drips and all that, for IVs. So when I got it, it clicked. Oh, I had it, and she was very supportive, as my husband said. Also, my dad was very supportive. I remember he used to encourage George, tell him we'll be okay.
Okay, now I'm imagining if you were being told certain things just because you're going through this condition, I can imagine what your mother was told back in the day about her pregnancy. And speaking of which, Elizabeth, I've had things like uliangaliwa vibaya, jicho mbaya, or you did not even want your own pregnancy. What have you had in this African context?
Well, about not wanting your own pregnancy, I'll be candid and say at one point I didn't want to be pregnant. And I'm a believer, and I know that pregnancy is a miracle. It's an act of God. But at that point, I didn't even want to be pregnant. I just wanted my own life back. And I know that may sound selfish, but unless you're walking in those shoes, you won't quite understand what it is that I'm saying. But if you're not able to take care of yourself, you're not able to take care of your own family. And I mean, as an African woman, there's that notion that you have to be strong. We're not like other women, you know. You're like other women in Africa have a child on their back, they're pregnant, and they're going to the river to fetch water. Like, what makes you think you're special? You're special. What makes your pregnancy different? Why should we treat you like an egg? You know, I was told I'm being dramatic. There's someone who saw me at a time when it's really rife, and they told me this is just morning sickness. It's what every woman goes through. Why do you want to go to the hospital? No, you'll be just fine. And that wasn't it. So just having to explain myself almost every single time was quite hard. And not just, I mean, it's easy when you have to explain to your family, because it had never happened to anyone in our family. So those ones, it was kind of easier to explain to them. But when I have to explain myself every time I go to the hospital, because when they look at the scale, the last time you are weighing this much and now you're weighing less. Why are you not eating? You better eat this, that, the other. And if they need a urine sample and it comes in a deep color, and you're told, why are you not drinking water? Shouldn't you? And I'm thinking, I would love to drink that water if I could. I really would. Okay, so why don't you eat green vegetables? Why don't you eat this? And they're not there on the ground to actually see that I have tried every single thing, and every single thing without fail has gone out. And in the end, I needed to now take bland foods, like nothing with spices, just like what the doctor has said. Anything that would have a smell. Think onions, tomatoes, anything that is used in cooking. Now I couldn't eat any of that.
Wow.
And so just now going to hospital and being told you're not eating right, you are not being kind to the child that you're carrying. It's not something that I want to do. It's not something that I am. It's not in my control. And if I could change things, if I could do something different, I would do everything possible in my power to do that. But now I'm not able to. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Dr. clearly a lot of stigma is fueled by ignorance. Now, for the layman, you'd understand why. Explain why a health practitioner would not know the difference between morning sickness, normal morning sickness, and HG.
Sorry, the line wasn't clear. I didn't get most of what she said.
Okay. All right.
But what I know, we do teach both the newly qualified doctors and gynecologists who we released to the field, I think, fairly well on some of this condition of morning sickness and hyperemesis. Although I know that some people might not get, the thin line between the two. So if it's just mild vomiting, some nausea, which happens mostly in the morning, or even some small bits in the course of the day, then that would qualify for just morning sickness. But if it gets to a point where it interferes with the lady's feeding, she's not able to retain anything, she vomits a lot. As a result of that, she's fatigued. This can lead to severe dehydration, and even in severe cases, it can cause kidney failure.
Oh, wow.
And then by the time it's getting this severe, any doctor or clinician should be able to pick it out fairly well and institute the appropriate treatment. The good thing is, for ladies, if you experience this, then you should not suffer with it. It's good to know there are treatments out here that we can give that are fairly safe and highly effective in most of the cases. Yeah, so if one experiences this, then they should be able to seek help urgently, preferably with an obstetrician, and where that is not available, even to the nearest, clinic or health center. Mm-hmm. And there are avenues for referral consultation where one does not feel competent to handle this condition. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, now, you touched on the possible risks. Kidney failure is one of them if this is left untreated. And as we mentioned earlier on when we started this conversation, this condition is associated with maternal fetal mortality and even morbidity. Which are other complications that are related to this condition?
Yeah. There are mostly conditions now that will deal with nutrition and dehydration. The first thing that happens is the person is not eating well, so they feel extremely weak. They might get a lot of acidity, so a lot of pains in the upper abdomen because of the increased acidity in the stomach. They might get hypotension because of the drop in their blood pressure.
Okay.
Because the body does not have enough fluids for circulation. Now, when it gets to the severe forms, this is where now we get dehydration. The electrolytes, those are the minerals in the body, they get into an imbalance. And if not corrected, then it can progress to kidney failure, which if not corrected can even cause death or severe complications in the mother. Long term, if it's not corrected, of course, the blood levels will drop, and now you'll have a very sick mother. Yes. Those are the commonest complications. And like I said, the good thing is this can be treated in good time before we reach the level of those severe complications.
Daktari, is there a chance that HG could actually cause premature births?
Yes, it can, because if one gets a lot of dehydration and all the imbalances I have talked about, in some ladies, that will trigger uterine contractions and they end up with a miscarriage. It can be.
Oh, wow. Okay. And Washeke, I remember when we were speaking, at some point you said this thing affected you so much. At some point you had literally given up on life. Tell us more.
Oh, yeah, I had. It was so severe for me. It reached a time, now that was past 20 weeks of pregnancy. You know, I had hope, I had expectations, you know, it would go away, but it got worse and worse. And there's this one particular day that I was so off. I was feeling so down and I was so weak. And I remember my sister was at home and my husband, and we were having a conversation, but I was very weak, and I was saying goodbyes to them, knowing the next day I'm gone. You know, I thought I'll go to bed and I'll not wake up because of the way I was feeling. I was very weak, and I was feeling like even the medication, the management was not working, and I didn't have hope. I lost hope that particular time, and I thought the best thing, maybe God can take me to rest.
Oh my word. And Elizabeth, you actually echo the same words. At some point, you actually thought you were literally dying.
Yes. I would wake up every morning and wonder, I'm still pregnant. Okay, and then I would look at my calendar. How many weeks are we at? Okay, so I'm going to do this until 40 weeks. Am I able to? Can I do this tomorrow? Can I do this the next day? And it would be that way every single day. And you know, you are weak. You are at one central place. You can hardly leave the house. So it's a very depressing state to be in. And yes, I did go through that time. And it's not proper for you to be depressed and pregnant at the same time. And it actually gets you there because you are literally helpless. You need someone to help you to even go to shower. Things that you would easily have done for yourself, you now cannot do it. And for me, being a mom, having a child and then now being pregnant, and your child watching you going through what it is that you're going through. In our case, our child was very traumatized just seeing me in that state. And he being so young, he couldn't understand. And we were also not able to take care of him well. And so at one point we had to even give him up to friends, for him to have an easier environment, because it was stressful for both of us. Now we couldn't imagine what it must have been like for a 2-year-old. So we had to give him to some friends for a while. And then that also now caused mommy guilt. I don't know about daddy guilt, but it caused a lot of mommy guilt for me to be able to just give up your own child. And you know you can't take care of them, but you're now unable to. And it was really hard.
Wow. Let's hear it from the caregiver's point of view. Jason, did you deal with daddy guilt?
I can say yes and no at the same time. Yes, because this is my child. I have to give up my child, my responsibility, to a friend, and I don't know how he's gonna handle this, despite him being with a family that knows him, a family that he knows and he appreciates being around. But his mother has, for the longest time, been his playmate, and then his playmate is down and out, cannot play, is injured. It was hard to explain it to him. And I remember at some point we had to bring him back, because we couldn't stay away from him despite the severity of stuff that we were going through. And one evening I remember breaking down at the dinner table. My wife was in bed, and I had to break down in front of my son. That was a bit hard to deal with. And the only thing I could do was call my dad back home and cry on phone, because I couldn't cry to any other person. And I know it's weird for someone to hear that a man had to cry. Yes, I broke down. And I broke down in front of my son. That was a different experience for him. I couldn't manage that. And I tried to explain myself to him as best as I could. Still, for a 2-year-old, that's hard to understand. And I also said I didn't feel it quite as much, because my first priority is my wife. I'll put everything else aside to take care of her. So I was at that place where I have to balance being there for my wife, being there for my son, and do my best to be there for myself.
Yeah.
And it was a tricky balance.
And who was there for you?
Well,
you were your own wife.
I was my own wife. I was my own brother at that point. I know, despite there being a friend to take care of our son, someone to be there for us, to pray with us, being in the thick of things and not wearing the shoe I was wearing, I was still quite alone. Family was there, friends were there, but I was still quite alone. And also, as we had alluded, the second pregnancy came with its own complications. And the thought of terminating the pregnancy was also there. You're wondering if you're making the right decision, if you're going to see the next day. It was a lot to handle at that point. Wow. So I was still alone, in as much as there being friends around and family to support.
We hear you, George. What was your experience?
Yeah. Again, it's a journey that was totally new, and I remember there was one instance where one of our neighbors they wanted to come over for dinner, and that particular day my wife was terribly sick, and since we could not go back to the hospital because she was just from the hospital the previous day, and then our neighbors just wanted to come and check on us. And I remember when they came in, we actually didn't have dinner. So they're the one who came and cooked, dinner for us. So I would say it's a totally, draining challenge because it affects you both mentally, physically, and also emotionally. And again, even among your friends, even among your relatives, you're the only person who can understand the journey because, again, you're going through with your wife, and nobody can be able to comprehend it well apart from you and your wife. So I would say it was very difficult, but again, I had to think of ways. Do I think about the challenge, or do I think about how do we tackle this? So, for example, in the house, I had to take up some of the roles. I had to make dinner for her, although most of the time she didn't eat the dinner. Again, sometimes, you had to clean up the house. And so all these things, for me, I didn't see them as work. I saw them like part of the support that I'm supposed to, to offer to my wife. So I would say it was a difficult journey, but also it all depends on how you view it, and again also depends on the on the goal and the journey that you're going through together. So for us and for me, I knew that we were going to get a baby. As much as we were going through this rough patch, we knew through prayers, through encouragement, through strength, that we were going to tackle it.
Yeah. Okay, we hear you. And gentlemen, again, I say we salute you for standing by your wives even when you did not understand what was happening to them physically, because as we see in the hospital wards, the men are normally pacing as they wait for the news if the baby has arrived, because that's the most they can do. So I can imagine 9 months of this uncertainty must have taken a toll on you. So again, we appreciate you for standing with your wives. Now, Daktari, clearly the psychological impact is one that cannot be understated. How are you able to counsel these patients who are going through this condition?
Yeah, it can be difficult, especially where somebody who was previously well is now having a lot of psychological turmoil, and she's undergoing a lot of changes, looks sickly. It can be traumatizing to them and their partners. Yeah, but once the most basic thing is to establish is there pregnancy to begin with. Then from there we are able to counsel the patients and their partners on what to expect. What are the possible things that can happen. in terms of the expected complications, or what should they do when certain conditions arise? Like in this case, the vomiting it's not getting relief, it's persistent. What should they do? How should they support partners in terms of their diet? If somebody was eating well, then reaches a point where even the food they used to take as their favorite, now they can't even bear the smell of that particular food.
Mm-hmm.
And also the psychological support that the lady needs, that she's not alone. The partner is able to stand in for her, get her needs, cushion her from the stigma like the ladies have expressed from people who do not understand this particular condition.
Okay.
Yeah, so the most important thing is in those who have these experiences or who are experiencing these particular conditions, it's good to link up with a healthcare provider so that you can go through this together. At the various stages of this condition.
Daktari, clarify something here. When we talk about the psychological impact, it has been said that these women are more susceptible to suffer postpartum depression. Is this a fact?
Yeah, because when one has these severe conditions, remember there is a trauma that arises because of what they have gone through. So they have some element of post-traumatic stress disorder kind of a condition. So that's why they need a lot of backup during that time, through the pregnancy and even after. Yeah.
And still speaking about postpartum, how about the recovery? Do they take longer to recover considering the veracity of the pregnancy?
Yeah, they should be able, if they get enough support, they recover fairly quickly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And there is some questions that have come through, and perhaps you can let us know if this is fact or fiction before we let you go, Daktari. HG is a sign of multiples. You know, you're expecting twins or more than that, or you're expecting a girl. Fact or fiction from your experience?
Yes, we know in multiple pregnancy, the hormone levels are much, much higher. So patients, ladies with twin pregnancies, will experience this condition more than those with a single baby pregnancy. It's also a condition called molar pregnancy. It's an abnormal pregnancy where the hormone levels are very, very high, but there is no normal pregnancy growing. So this ones tend also to vomit a lot.
Okay.
The other category is patients with goiter, with what we call thyrotoxicosis, this anterior neck swelling. They tend to have more of this hyperemesis because the hormones tend to mimic those produced from the thyroid gland.
Okay, so at this point, we can actually rule out the fact that gender has any play here.
The gender of the baby, not quite.
All right, because clearly Washeke has a boy, right, Washeke? Oh, yeah. And I believe, Elizabeth, what is the gender of your children?
A boy and then a girl.
Okay, so clearly that is a myth. All right, Daktari. So even as you live us, because I understand, and plus you joined us as a last minute because you had other appointments ahead. Let us know, what are the most, what is the most important thing to look out for? And even when you go to a doctor who does not understand, what you should explain you're going through.
Yeah, first it's good to let the doctor know that you are pregnant, and we should have a confirmatory test to confirm that there is a pregnancy.
Okay.
Second, it will be good to have an abdominal ultrasound scan to confirm that there is a normal pregnancy that is starting to develop. Then after that, one should be able now to explain the issue of the vomiting how severe it is. What foods are you able to take? What can't you take? Does it cause a lot of fatigue? Does it cause things like headache, sometimes fainting attack, and the like. Yeah.
All right. We really appreciate you, Dr. Alfred Mokomba, who is an obstetrician and gynecologist, for helping us walk through the sands of Hyperemesis Gravidarum. We thank you and we wish you a good day. Well, at this point, we also take a short break on Your World. When we come back, more on HG, and of course, we take a look at the other world. Stay with us.
About Molfix. Actually, another brand was recommended to me, but it had a leakage problem. Then I decided to try Molfix. His clothes don't get wet anymore.
Because Molfix provides extra protection against leakage thanks to its anti-leakage elastic barriers.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper.
You should also try Molfix.
As we reopen to this new normal, we are committed to excellence. We have adhered to the Ministry of Health COVID-19 guidelines, keeping our students and the learning environment safe. We're back. We're safe. We're learning. We admit both self and government-sponsored students for our degree, diploma, and certificate programs that are accredited by the Commission for University Education. ZTech University. Invent your future.
Hot 10T is the latest Infinix smartphone with super fast and smooth display with 90 GHz refresh rate, 48 megapixel clearest camera with a nightscape image performance for good photos, even at night. Enjoy smooth and fast gaming experience supported by Helio G70 on Hot 10T. Stay on power with Hot 10T. 5000 mAh super large batteries. Buy Hot 10T now in all Infinix outlets countrywide. You'll get exclusive gifts, 2.5 GB Safaricom data for free, and also have a chance to win Infinix Smart TV.
Salad vegetable cooking oil is the clear flowing secret to tasty meals. Buy 5 liters of salad vegetable cooking oil today and get 250 grams Zesta tomato sauce for free. Iflo Kama Salad. Salad vegetable cooking oil. Available in all cooking outlets countrywide.
Kwetu Mix in association with Coca-Cola.
Introducing Kwetu Mix.
Okay, but don't need no intro.
Tangu tuingie kwa hii mchezo sindo heartbeat. Nairobi City tunairan kama heartbeat.
If you know, you know.
We have a banger.
Nisho, ni wapi uliniona?
Kwetu Mix on MTV.
Hapo. Tutakuletea updates zote about all the trendy and popular entertainment events. Yes, man.
Kwetu Mix, keep it locked. NTV, don't touch the dial.
Kwetu Mix in association with Coca-Cola.
Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja. This morning, we're talking about Hyperemesis Gravidarum, abbreviated as HG, which is a severe form of morning sickness. And we've learned a lot, both from our doctor who had to leave us because of prior appointments, and of course, those who have lived experience joining us both in studio and at home, rather. So before we get back to that conversation, let's take a look at what's making headlines in the other world. And the first tourists to visit the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. arrive as the museum reopens after being closed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Previously home to some of the toughest anti-COVID regulations in the country, the U.S. Capitol reopening highlights the United States' steady transition back to normality.
It's a welcome development, obviously, to have to wear your mask less often, but practically speaking, I imagine I will just continue to wear my mask much as before. I'm probably wearing a little bit less when I'm outside walking, but inside I always have it with me.
I'm totally in favor of wearing a mask.
So am I.
Even though we are vaccinated, it's still the protection, and the only way we can get this virus under control is to all act together, and wearing a mask is the easiest thing to do.
I'm a little bit worried about it because people will be, not wearing a mask, and then, are they vaccinated or aren't they? And so I think we should keep on wearing masks for a while.
So far, when I'm outside, I'm not wearing a mask, but I'm seeing people are still wearing masks outside, but I don't believe, because I think outside I'm okay. But when I'm coming inside, I respect everything what they ask me. So if they ask me to wear the mask, I'm going to wear the mask.
You all can travel together as well for the museum.
Actually, the free passes are sold out for the next 2 weeks. So visitors who want to come visit will need to check in a couple of weeks to get the next round of passes.
The change began 6 weeks ago when the weather began to warm up, and simultaneously when the news came out that everybody of all ages was being vaccinated in Washington, D.C., that seemed to coincide with the uptick in visitors on the mall. Send me a link when you get.
Elsewhere, London restaurant managers and customers in the city say they can't wait for the restart of indoor services in England on the 17th of May, which is today. Now, pubs, bars and restaurants will be able to serve drinks and food inside, though only to groups of up to 6 people via table service and with social distancing in place.
For Monday, we're going to be busy. So we're going to be with so much energy.
Just had a meeting to bring everyone's on time. Double staff for the day, which is on 17th, to give a good service to all our customers. And basically, we can't wait to bring and see all the people inside again. We have a really huge upstairs and downstairs and indoor space. It was really difficult, but in another way, it was for us, it was another experience just to have inside empty and outside, to bring the people to say, guys, we're still open, but you can sit outside. And in London, it's been every day raining. It was really difficult and hectic times we've had.
I'm very excited. London's weather is very weird at the moment. It's been raining, it's been really cold, and I'm just looking forward to being inside in the warm with my friends.
When restaurants and pubs and clubs are really open, we're going to be there indoors. You get a beautiful day like today, it's sunny, it's fine outdoors. We're in the UK, as soon as it rains, we need to be inside, by the fire, having a pint.
Away from COVID, and bikers of Libya's Mediterranean city of Benghazi, the cradle of its 2011 revolution and a one-time Islamist bastion, rev up their motors to show another side to their war-scarred country.
هي 5 سنين أنا فيه ممكن أنت شوية قلت فيك بتعيط تتعود.
Well, let's get back to our conversation of the day. HG, Hyperemesis Gravidarum, an extreme form of morning sickness. And I must say, seeing that I have actually walked through the journey of pregnancy, hearing it from this point of view makes me appreciate the experience that I had to start with. But even as we bring this conversation to a close, I'd like to understand, Washeke, you mentioned that at some point, even going to work became such a big thing for you, and they started questioning your pregnancy. Did that ever affect your employment opportunities?
The fact that I was away from work for a very long time, I exhausted all my sick off, so that we are given that is per year. So I had to talk to my senior, that is my bosses, to allow me to work from home or to go and then to go to work when I feel okay. But with HE, you also suffer, is it mobile sickness? When you get, what do you call that sickness?
Motion sickness.
Motion, yeah, that's the one. Motion sickness. I had motion sickness too. So I'll leave home well, I get to the office, and immediately I'll get to the lift, I'll start throwing off. I throw off, and then I had to go back home. So it didn't make sense for me to go to the office. So I worked from home for a few weeks. And then when I was almost due, then I took some days off so that at least I could concentrate now. But it is hard because you are fighting to survive and you're also fighting to keep your job. So I didn't lose my job, but if I feel like if I continued, I would have lost my job.
Oh dear. Yeah. Elizabeth, what was your experience? Did you have a job that you had to keep?
Well, for us, we both work from home and run a ministry. So it was a bit easier for us in that way. I wouldn't imagine having a job outside of home and how it would be. Would I have an employer who is able to understand what is going on? And for many women, because we have a group where we're able to talk with women who have had hyperemesis gravidarum in the past, those who are going through it at the moment. We know of several who lost their jobs because of going through HG. We know of some who lost their marriages because of HG, even lost children because of HG. And it can be complicated. For us, I think it was a bit easier in that way.
Oh, wow. And the economics of it. I mean, Jason, you mentioned that, I mean, there's so much that goes into the treatment. So here you are, mama can't do anything, you're running the ministry, but you're being dented with the constant bills. How did you handle this?
Now, we had to really get help from family because I couldn't give as much into the work that I have to do. My work is affected and I have to ensure that I take care of family. So I had to choose between working to make money and ensuring that my wife is okay. So I ensured that I give my wife the best so that she does not feel alone. But at the same time, I ensured that I tried my best to work as much as I could because I have other skills that I use. And I I gave it my best. When a client asked for their job, I had to call in and tell them the situation at home so that they give me either extra time or some extra money to ensure that I just pushed through. But family did come through. Whenever we could not just make it, family stood with us.
Okay. George, how did you survive this? Because I'm not imagining, the fact is you're the provider, mama can't work as well. What are we doing here to survive?
Yeah, it's a very draining situation financially. But luckily on our side, we had an insurance cover. And due to the many trips that we went, that we went to the hospital, I think we fully exhausted the normal pregnancy cover, and so we had to think of ways now. Not only look for money now for the hospital trips, but also look for money now, for the delivery itself. So so for me, I run a business. The business was that time it was performing a bit well. And again, maybe through family and friends, we were able now maybe to set some amount. And but the whole thing is it's super costly, to be honest, because you can imagine like one hospital visit and then you're admitted maybe like for 3 nights. We're talking about 70,000 shillings going down the drain. So if you do like 5 trips, so we're talking over 200. So it's a very expensive affair, and I don't want anyone to go through that. But again, as a man, you're supposed to come up and think about, solutions that you can give. Yeah.
Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, clearly the good news out of all this is that we've got beautiful bundles of joy that came out of this horrendous experience, and for the Franklins, clearly it was twice over. Washeke, when you look at that boy, what do you think of considering your experience?
For me, it's a miracle. I normally say it's a miracle baby, because fighting all that to where we are now and seeing him actually, and to say the reason why I say he's a miracle, going through HG was not easy. I feared I would lose him. I also feared because of the drugs that I used to take, he would have defects. And also why he's a miracle too, because one of the effects also of HG is placenta abruption. I had that, so I got him as a miracle too on the day that I delivered him, though not the date that had been given, but it was he was in the right weeks, to come. He was ready, so he's totally a miracle to us, and we thank God. We really thank God, because I see God had planned all this, and he had his. He had his reasons why we had to go through all that to be where we are today, and it's a miracle. I can also tell the women who are going through it to be strong. God already had seen this. It's not a surprise to him, so they'll come out of it strong. As much as it is very difficult, to be honest. When you are there, when you are told to be strong, don't give up. You get annoyed, actually. So I would encourage them to just hold on.
All right. Now, Washeke, there's a question that's been posed to you. Considering what you've gone through the first pregnancy, are you thinking of getting pregnant again?
Yeah, I will. I have to give him a sibling. We don't want him to grow up lonely. He has to have a playmate. So I know I'm thinking about it, but then again, I have to say, once I think about it, I get traumatized. Yeah. But my husband always encouraged me and tell me, this one will be different, But I pray to God, He'll carry us through. However the outcome will be, I just pray we'll have a healthy baby again. And I pray for, I normally pray for a smooth pregnancy. I would want to experience how people feel, from week 1 to the last week. You're feeling strong and, you don't have any complications. So I can say I'm traumatized, but I pray for God to give me strength and to carry us through.
Now, George, you do know the probability of a second pregnancy being exactly the same or even worse is high, as much as we pray for a smooth one. You okay with that?
Of course, in this life, you have to be very optimistic.
Yes.
So for us, we, the joy of a child kind of makes you, eliminates all those challenges. Right now, the boy that we have, in fact, we forgot. I think, I will have to admit, I think I forgot most part of the challenges that we went through, because it's such a joy, seeing that kid brand there. And again, what she forgot even to say that even through that, her losing weight, not being able to keep anything, I think our boy was among the heaviest.
Oh yeah, we didn't expect him to weigh 3.4 kgs. Actually, that was something else I used to fear. I used to wonder how many grams will he be, because I was not eating, But thank God, he blessed us with 3.4, and throughout, he's even children of his age, I feel like he's somehow of good weight.
Okay.
and such a joy in a sharp boy, I thank God.
All right, indeed a miracle child. Okay, let's hear from the Franklins. When you look at those little babies, what do you think, Elizabeth?
Well, just like Washeke has said, they are a miracle. And I actually can't believe what I went through, what I went through. And just seeing them here it's unbelievable for me. I think I pinch myself and wonder, am I their mother, or am I just like, am I taking care of them? Like, did I actually go through all that? And you just, you find yourself just thanking God for that journey. Because here we are, and there are many women who have had complications with their babies because of HG. But our babies have gone through this process well, and they are thriving. So it's something to just thank God for.
And of course, I'm going to ask you, 2 children down, do we have any other in the pipeline, considering Kate Middleton did this 3 times over and she's still here?
I am Kate Middleton.
Ooh, so there is hope.
I will. There is. I would want to give a third sibling, a third child.
Yes.
I am considering it, but past that, I don't think I have the strength.
Okay,
I would give it one more chance.
I see Jason smiling. I guess that is such great news to hear. Your thoughts about doing this over again?
Yes, we have considered it, but now with the understanding and knowledge that we have, we now have to put the wisdom we get from it to use, because we can't just walk into this foolhardy. We just have to plan ourselves through now and do whatever we can ahead of time so that we can manage it.
And that
when we get to that point.
And definitely that gives a lot of encouragement for anyone who would find themselves in these shoes or is already going through it. And before I say goodbye, the 2 ladies, I know you've actually put together a support group to walk with the other women. Washeke, why did you do so, and what kind of impact are you seeing in these women?
When I was going through HG, I didn't know anyone who was going through it or had gone it other than my mom. So 2019, during HG awareness, that's when Elizabeth posted he posted a message on HG on one of the Facebook pages for pregnant women. That's how we connected. So I was like, wow, she's gone through it. I need to connect to her. At least I can have a friend that I share, because of also for future. And also she was going through it at that particular time now with her second baby. So that's how we connected. And I felt what we missed, personally myself, and also talking to her, also she missed the same thing. That is connection with people who understand you. We decided, why not form a support group where we can have women who are going through HG, those who are pregnant, and those who have gone through it, those who are pregnant and going through it, and then we form a group so that we can encourage each other and just share and just get to know how we can impact, also reach out to other women. We know there are so many women also in rural places, they don't have access to them best medical attention and all that, so that we can be a voice to them and support them in ways we can. So in this support group, we are 42 women currently. All of us have gone through HG, many with their first babies, second babies, and some even with their third babies. And we just we just talk and encourage each other. And for those who are pregnant, we also have their support group, because we don't want them to see or hear these other scary stories of what people have gone through. We just want them to be in a safe place and just encourage them and walk with them throughout the journey, find out if they are getting the best medication, how can we support them, can we link them up to the best healthcare providers. That's how we normally operate currently, as we see other bigger way where we can now create a big impact.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, I'm told that you are actually thinking of even expanding it into a foundation and spreading your tentacles to other countries beyond Kenya. Tell us more.
Well, we are a bit privileged, Washeke and myself, to be in this place where we have this knowledge about what it is that we went through. And we think about those women in a place like Marsabit and such places where they have no access to hospital or a gyna or someone who would understand. And think about the many deaths that have probably happened to women who were pregnant and were going through HG, and nobody knew what was going on. And seeing that we didn't have that support when we began, for us, we would love to have that support given to other women. I think for me personally, why I started this, where we started this group, is because I personally would want that if this thing is if it's in the genes, and my daughter one day has to go through HG, I wanted to walk into a facility and she would just say it's HG, and she wouldn't have to explain herself to anybody. She wouldn't have to say something just to have someone take extra care of her. That she will just walk in and she'll say HG, and they'll say, we understand, come. We now know what it's like, and we will take care of you. Say no more. So if that can happen, that will be my greatest joy. Absolutely.
We hear you, and again, we appreciate you, gentlemen, as you walk with your wives. I hope you're also part and parcel of a bigger support group, because kuna wanaume wengi who would need you to hold their hands now that you have better information on this condition. So again, I appreciate you, Washeke and George Minor, and Elizabeth and Jason Franklin, who joined us from the comfort of their home in Rongai, and to Dr. Alfred Mokomba, who is an obstetrician gynecologist, who gave us tidbits on the science of this condition. And Dr. Charles Minor, who was supposed to be here, he was very excited to be here, but he had to go help assist deliver a child this morning. So we thank you for bringing this condition to our attention and letting us know more about it. Now, tomorrow, we focus on a profession that has flourished in the face of the pandemic: coaching. In fact, one of the latest celebrities to endorse this profession is Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, who was recently announced as the Chief Impact Officer for Better Up, a startup focused on coaching and mental health. So what exactly is coaching, and how can you use it as a self-improvement tool? We find out more about it from 7 a.m.
Presenting the new Harpic Bathroom Cleaner. Compared to ordinary detergents, its thick formulation gives you superior cleaning and kills 99.9% of germs and viruses all around the bathroom. Blue
For the toilet.
and red
For the bathroom.
From State Farm Arena, the 2021 NBA All-Star Game.
When you're able to represent your team, your family, it's not something that I take for granted at all.
You know, who knows if I'm going to have a chance to play with them again. So enjoy every moment. We're going to try to get a win for sure.
I just love the fact that HBCUs are being highlighted.
Each quarter is like its own game, with $150,000 going to charity and then $300,000 going to the charity of the winning team.
I ain't been this close to this ever. Nice play. Here's Curry. Oh, beautiful pass. And the Joker with the bucket. How we loose? Get the legs moving. 2-on-1. LeBron with the reverse.
Here's Curry, 3.
Kenya is a global leader on the digital financial services landscape. The disruption brought about by COVID-19 and the growing need for physical distancing has accelerated the uptake of digital financial services in the economy, even as it brings about emerging challenges such as cybersecurity threats. How can Kenya optimize the uptake of digital financial services to accelerate growth, development, and financial inclusion? What opportunities do digital solutions present to largely financially underserved segments of the economy, such as micro, small, and medium-sized businesses? On Monday, 17th of May, starting 7:30 p.m., NTV and MasterCard will host a live panel looking into the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on digitization in the payments landscape.
Timeless love.
Wow, thank you for your time.